Antarctica is known as a continent of superlatives, in addition to being the world's southernmost continent. It is also the world's driest, tallest, coldest, iciest, and windiest continent. 98% of Antarctica's surface area, which is more than 5.5 million square miles, is covered by a thick sheet of ice. The continent can be divided into two sections. East Antarctica is made up of ice, and West Antarctica is made up of an ice sheet covering a broad expanse of rocky islands. The 7 million cubic kilometers of ice that comprise the continental ice sheet contain approximately 90% of the world's biggest sized ice and 80% of its water. On average, it is roughly 6,000 feet thick. The Ross and Weddell Seas are mostly covered by ice shelves, which are floating ice sheets on the water's surface. The Furchneron and Ross ice shelves, as well as additional ice shelves along the continent's edges, encompass approximately 45% of Antarctica. Along the Antarctic coast, icebergs are released into the oceans by shelves, glaciers, and ice sheets. Antarctica has two forms of ice: the ice sheet, which is located on land, and the ice shelf, which is located off the coast and floats on water. The grounding line is where the two meet, where the ice lifts off the ocean floor and begins to touch it. Despite its perils and general propensity to harm you, Antarctica's icy terrain is terrifyingly calm, consisting of great stretches of whiteness with no recognizable vegetation or animals. However, down within, where the ice meets the soil, things begin to go awry. Recent research finds that what scientists previously thought to be a hydraulically inert subglacial ecosystem is humming with activity, with significant implications for global sea level rise. The habitat of Antarctica's 1.6 million square kilometer wide floating ice shelves, which are coastal extensions of the continent's glaciers, is still being determined. Because of the severe freezing climate and perpetual darkness, only a few robust living species have been identified in previous studies of life beneath the ice. The scientists discovered the hidden subsurface habitat on the Larsen Ice Shelf, a vast sheet of ice connected to the eastern coast of the Antarctic Peninsula. This ice shelf famously gave birth to the world's largest sized iceberg known to humanity in 2021. After satellite photographs revealed a strange depression in the ice shelf near the point where it met the shore, researchers recognized the peculiar structure of a subsurface river. To get access to the underground cavern, the team used a powerful hot water hose to bore down nearly 1,650 feet below the ice's surface. A camera was sent down the freezing tube into the cavern, but the video feed was obscured by hundreds of microscopic, fuzzy particles in the water. The scientists collected samples from the seafloor in 2018 after drilling 2 holes in the Weddell Sea's Ekstrom ice shelf. The diversity of life on the ocean floor was better than in many accessible water samples discovered on continental shelves with light and food supply. The team initially thought that their equipment had broken. They noticed little amphibid crustaceans crowding the lens after reframing the camera. The team was taken aback by this, since they had not foreseen discovering any life so deep beneath the frozen surface. Among the marine species, the researchers identified serpulid worms, colony-forming invertebrates, and bryozoans. These creatures are suspension feeders, which means they stay at the bottom of the ocean and scavenge for floating organic particles. The scientists believe they are devouring algae brought underneath the ice shelf by currents. The ecosystem of this subglacial lake is home to a vast range of strange living creatures. The gloomy, frigid temperature has been discovered to be an ideal environment for microorganisms such as bacteria and algae. Photosynthetic algae blooms were found in these places as soon as the ice melts. However, until recent times, it was widely assumed that the thick ice sheets prevented any light from accessing the strata beneath before the change of seasons. According to the latest research, phytoplankton blooms, which is a photosynthetic algae, can emerge and also thrive before the ice melts. Most aquatic food webs rely on phytoplankton, and this also promotes the growth of more complex living forms. Discovering these photosynthetic algae blooms raises critical new issues about the food webs or ecosystem that may be in existence beneath the ice sheets in Antarctica, and will challenge the concept that life cannot thrive beneath the ice sheets. Physical oceanographer Craig Stevens of the National Institute of Water and Atmospheric Research, NIWA, in Auckland, New Zealand, said in a statement that the presence of so many species swimming near the camera implies that a massive ecological event is taking place. The entire team was taken aback when they discovered the secret substructure filled with crustaceans, which sent them into a frenzy of joy. Furthermore, researchers discovered that the lake had indeed been disconnected from the outside world for several million years, allowing the species to evolve in unexpected ways. However, little research has been conducted on these topics so far. The discovery is even more remarkable because it was unknown whether the lake could support life. When Stevens got to watch and examine this river, he claimed it felt like he was the first person to uncover a secret universe. While reviewing a satellite image of the region in 2020, Horgan noticed the first signs of the underlying structure. It was evident as a long dip or groove that spread across the ice, a feature of a subterranean river. According to Stevens, the groove initially escaped surface detection while being readily evident in satellite pictures. However, they later saw this tiny incline and thought we had identified the ideal location. This river beneath the ice was found using radar that penetrates through ice mounted aboard an aircraft. During a sequence of airborne surveys, a 285-mile-long river system that drains into the Weddell Sea was found. According to research co-author and glaciologist Martin Seigert of the Grantham Institute at Imperial College London, when the lakes underneath the Antarctic ice sheets were first discovered several decades ago, scientists thought these lakes were separate from one another. Now that thousands of meters of ice are not covering them, scientists are beginning to discover that there are systems beneath the ice sheets connected by massive river networks. Because of this web of movement, the ice sheet space is quite slippery. According to Seigert, if the ice in the region of the system drainage melts, it would be capable of raising global sea levels by at least 14 feet. There are worries about how this environment will react due to global warming, but this ice melt would not happen all at once. The discovery of this system of drainage could have significant influence on this process. The four slowly moving sheets of ice that cover the river system are the Muller Ice Stream, Foundation Ice Stream, Academy Glacier, Institute Ice Stream, and Support Force Glacier. The water system may become unstable if the glacier's edges extend further onshore. The river flows into the Weddell Sea beneath a floating ice shelf, where melting ice from beneath the ice may chip away at the shelves. After dropping the camera into the river, the crew was astounded to observe that the cavern was significantly different from their predictions. The team projected that the roof of the chamber would be level and slick. They were, however, taken aback by the roof's severe unevenness and abundance of steep undulations. The cavern grew substantially broader as it got closer to the roof. It had a swell at the top and a little inclination at the bottom, comparable to a loaf of bread, according to Stevens. Surprisingly, the researchers discovered that the subterranean water column was separated into 4 or 5 different strata that flowed in opposite directions. According to Stevens, this changes how we experience and portray various environmental circumstances. Understanding what this means will require some effort. The group arrived just in time to record another amazing discovery above the submerged river. The researchers set up their tents a few days before the Hunga Tonga Hunga High Pi volcano eruption in Tonga on January 15, which surpassed all previous records. Sensors mounted on the ice's surface recorded equivalent pressure waves traveling through the subterranean chamber, while the massive explosion produced pressure waves that sounded like bells in the Earth's atmosphere. According to Stevens, it was fascinating to see the aftermath of the Tongan volcano's eruption from hundreds of kilometers away. It reminds us of how intertwined our entire world is. The researchers were also taken aback by how old the icy ecosystem appeared to be. The researchers found that the animal fragments they gathered from the corpses were up to 6,000 years old using a technique known as carbon dating. Because creatures lived beneath Antarctica's ice shelves for decades, the British Antarctic Survey stated in a press release that we don't know if we have much time left to research and safeguard these ecosystems. This is due to global warming and the accelerated melting of ice shelves. According to the researchers' report, the least disturbed ecosystem on Earth may become extinct first if sub-ice shelf conditions disappear due to global warming. It may be cold, dreary, and food scarce in most regions, but it is likely to vanish right before our eyes before we can thoroughly investigate it. The discovery is undeniably remarkable. No one expected to uncover any life, let alone a subterranean ecosystem beneath Antarctica, but this discovery indicated that an ecosystem indeed existed beneath the ice. As a result, it's understandable why the discovery was so unexpected. As I previously stated, many people believe Antarctica is one of the world's coldest, driest, and iciest areas, and there's a good reason behind it. It is a polar cap that provides 80% of the world's fresh water and 90% of the world's ice. As a result, Antarctica has a tremendous impact on the rest of the planet, and scientists are attempting to have a clear understanding of how it operates. The emergence of this ecosystem has profound impacts on our comprehension of how life can grow and persist under adverse conditions. It also makes us wonder if there are other planets or moons in our solar system with similar ecosystems. The Discovery team is presently working to understand the ecology, specifically the local geology and the species that live there. They're also seeking to develop methods for protecting and preserving the environment. The emergence of this subglacial ecosystem expands our understanding of life on Earth and the possibility of life elsewhere in the universe. Scientists and researchers will have a great time uncovering the mysteries buried beneath the Antarctic ice. And that brings us to the end of this video. What do you think about this subglacial ecosystem? Let us know in the comments section. Remember to like, subscribe, and click on the notification bell to get notified when we post a new video.